Hi, this is Bob Pellerin, CTOBOB, and today I'll be looking at my brand new RAV4 Prime. This is a 2021, and this is the SE model. So this is the base model. It's got the least amount of features you can get. Surprisingly, it comes very well equipped. So let's take a quick look at the outside. One of the things that you'll notice is obviously the same new styling as the regular RAV4s. That includes all the hybrids. One of the interesting parts too is there is a camera and a sensor in here. So this is for the cruise control and proximity as well. The other thing while we're on that subject is you'll notice up here is there is a camera there as well. So those are part of the safety features that come with this car. If you go for the higher trims, you will get some better lights. In this case, you've got some LEDs for the running lights and more traditional halogen lights for nighttime. Apart from that, this particular model, being the base model, does not have the little LEDs here on the side. This is strictly plastic. There's no intake. One of the interesting parts that I find is if you were to look in here, there seems to be ventilation right above. There's this big lip here, and you'll notice there's some bit of ventilation there. So as you can tell here, around the wheels, so we've got this plastic here. On the regular models, the ones that are not the Prime, this would be more matte. On this case, it is more glossy. We've actually used this car for about 60 miles so far, 100 kilometers, and so it's got a bit of dirt in it from our test drive. And these are 18-inch wheels. They are alloy. So as you'll tell, it's got the distinctive plug-in hybrid badge here. So again, it does match the silver with the silver. It's pretty nice. Got the bottom of the mirrors here that are in black. You do have a detection here. I don't know if you can see the little symbol, but if you have a car next to you, it uses LiDAR and will warn you. So this will turn yellow here if there's a car next to you in your blind spot. And it does have heated mirrors for the winter. So that's a very useful feature to have if you live in colder climates. This particular model has manual mirrors. So if you need to move them, it's purely a manual mechanical affair. So if we move down here into the body, it's got a really nice little curve here with lines, and it's written AWD on the bottom for all-wheel drive. This all-wheel drive, since it is a plug-in hybrid, basically uses the motor in front and electric motors in the back. So there is no transfer from the motor, traditional gas engine, to the rear wheels. It's strictly electrical for the back. So you'll see some of the videos out there. It's a bit special in some instances. You may have some, I guess, something that looks like an ABS reaction where it kind of stutters. That's some of the videos I've seen. On the driver's side, you have your gas, and the plug-in is on the other side. So the back, it's a bit aggressive. It's got the lights slightly sticking out. So yes, it has the wiper here on the bottom. I prefer them being lower rather than some models have them up there. I think it's better on the bottom. So again, the branding, we have RAV4 Prime written here. In our case, we have a green license plate, which we will blur out. And we've got the SE badge. This is actually a sticker, which I probably will remove. And let's move on to the electrical end. So this is where we plug in the electrical, or this is how we recharge the battery on the RAV4 Prime. In our case, right now, it is plugged into the wall socket, and this takes roughly 10 hours to recharge the battery if it's completely depleted. And that should give you an autonomy of roughly, I'm going to say about 70 kilometers. In miles, you're looking about 40, 45 miles, depending on how you drive, how fast, if you have it in eco mode, if you have it in sports mode. So that will make a difference. The rest, it's got the same branding on this side, AWD here on the bottom, and the plug-in hybrid on this side as well. If we look at the top, it does come with matching the same glossy black that they've used on the side, on the trim in the back. And if you want to put some crossbars up here to use it as a rack to carry things like bicycles and so forth, then you've got depression here, and they visit your dealership, I guess, and get those, or get aftermarket products as well that will fit this. So the other thing that's interesting here is a bit of the black trim here continues all the way to the back. And that's about it in a nutshell from the back. Let's take a quick look at the engine compartment. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. And of course, if you like our videos and want to encourage us, please subscribe. We really appreciate it and it helps us out. So this is what the engine looks like. The first thing you'll notice for anybody who likes engines is the fact it's using 0W16. So it's a thinner oil. This car is made to use this oil, so it's not recommended to use heavier oils. For example, if you have 020 or something like that, you can use it in an emergency, but this is really designed to use a 16. And the way they've done it is the oil pressure actually becomes variable in this engine. So it's all computerized, and it will detect areas as they get hot and will push oil to where it needs it at various pressures. The other thing is this entire engine, including the hybrid, or the electric, and the gas, will give you 302 horsepower. So this is the fastest Toyota you can buy, unless you go for a Supra, which is a partnership with BMW, I believe. So this straight Toyota product, this is the fastest one you can buy with the badge in an SUV. So let's go take a look at the back end, how much cargo space we have, and then we'll take a look at the interior. Okay, so the first thing is when you get the SE model, you don't have any kind of power assist, anything for the back gate. The bright side is, it really is simple. You press on it, and very little effort, it goes up. So anyone who's concerned about a heavy door or anything of the sort won't have a problem. You'll notice that there's some handles up here, so to close it, again, it's you've got some assistance here from the cylinders, and makes it quite easy. There is a little privacy shield here. If you're used to other cars, other brands, it's very common. So very straightforward. In our case, we have a cargo lining, and it does say RAV4 Prime on it. So apparently these are brand new. Some people at the dealership were surprised to see the word Prime on there, so I'm guessing this is something that's only now available. Underneath this, let's take a quick look. What we have is a 17-inch spare tire, so it is a full spare. And of course, we've got the various tools to help us out in case we get stranded somewhere. And as you can hear that sound. The other thing that you can notice as well is there are some cargo attachment little hooks here. If you can see those. There's one there, there's one towards the front on both sides. There's another one right here. So one of the things that I'd like to point out about these is I understand that they may rattle depending on how they're positioned and so forth. So since this car is so quiet because it's electric, when you're driving at low speeds, if you hear something shaking in the back, it could be one of these things, you know, touching or bouncing or something like that. So you might, if that's bothering you, you don't have a radio on and so forth, you just want to check that those things are not causing the problem, because it would be natural and normal if that is the case. Now the other thing with this cargo lining is, I don't know if you can tell, but it actually extends all the way back to in back of the seats there. So again, you've got the typical 60-40 arrangement. I'm going to go ahead and bring this down. So lots of cargo space. So if you're like me and you like to bring servers and computers and large things, this is perfect. And of course you can easily take this off as well, so you don't have a bar there in your way. First thing is, no matter which trim you pick, if you're picking the SE or the XSE or the Techno, the steering wheel is pretty much the same. This is a tried and true Toyota wheel. It's very comfortable. The only thing negative that I've heard are some of the comments about the heating steering wheel. The fact that it only heats here, basically where you're supposed to put your hands when you learn how to drive. So that's where it heats. It's not the entire wheel. That is not, to me, who's used to other brands that do the exact same thing, it's perfectly normal and acceptable to me. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the space available. So for the passenger, what you've got here is what some have referred to as a Twinkie shelf. And I think it's a bit of a joke, but of course you can put a phone on here, or several phones. It's not very deep, so you can put small things, lipsticks and whatnot, a set of keys, phones. And there is an area here which can hold your phone. In the SE trim, you do not have a charging area. This is strictly to sit your phone on. And then you'll have to use, at the bottom here, there is an old cigarette lighter 12 volt port. And next to it, there's a USB port. So you can plug in USB key, you can plug in your phone to charge there. All you need is a wire, and then you could just sit here. And for the cups, so you've got two large spaces for cups. There's two other ones in the back that we'll see later on, basically in the rest. Now the rest of the car, there is a little tiny space here in the door. You can put another can of Coke or something like that here on the side. It's not an awful lot of room. And I also have a little tiny space equivalent of what the passenger had on the driver's side as well. It's terribly small. You really, I don't know if you'll be able to see with the lighting, but it's relatively small right here. So the rest is pretty uneventful space-wise. Let's take a quick look at this area here. Again, it is decent. It's not the deepest thing I've ever seen. And what you've got is you have two USB ports in here. In case you want to put anything, a tablet or something, and charge it. I believe you might be able to get away with putting smaller devices in here. There is no space under the seat. In the SE, it is a manual seat on the passenger side. And the glove compartment is, well, it's reasonable. It's not the largest one I've ever seen, but it will do. And on the passenger's door, if you want to see the space, it is the equivalent of what is on the driver's side. So that's how much room you have. So again, you're not going to be putting boxes of paper tissues or things like that, but again, it's adequate. Otherwise, you also have a space up here as part of the lighting that you can put glasses. And of course, being an SE, there is no sunroof or anything else up here. So really what you're seeing are buttons for the lights and a few, that's basically light controls up here. If we take a quick look, you've got vanity mirror with a light. And there is a bit of an extension here on these visors. And there's also a vanity mirror with a light on the driver's side as well, which of course you would not be using while you're driving, but it's still useful. And this one also has an extension. So this way, if you've got the sun that's hitting you in the wrong spot, it's the way to do it. In my particular car, let's move on to the mirror. I've got the one with the Homelink, and what it does is it provides you with the ability to control garage door. So it basically has a built-in garage door opener, and it also auto dims. So the nice part about this is at night it will self-dim. It's once you've had one of these, it's hard to go back, and that's why I've actually asked for this. This is not part of the normal SE trim. You can have it as an option. Now let's go ahead and show you some of the controls. The car is very quiet because it is electrical, and because it's electrical, there's nothing apart from a button that says ready when it turns on, so it produces no emissions. And right now it knows that it's plugged in, so it will not start. And it actually tells me the wheel is locked. What it does is it gives you, in my case, I'm in Canada right now, so I've got kilometers on the outside, and I have, I don't know if you can see way down here, but I actually get the mileage on the bottom left. So this is how I can have kilometers and miles. And this one's strictly digital, and this one's, well, it's also digital, but it shows it to you as if it's analog. On the right side here, what you're seeing is the fuel and the battery, and right now I am charging it. We had one run. We're at 132 kilometers that we've run so far with this car. And yes, we managed to use up the battery earlier in our one test. And on this side here, what it will do is it will show you if you're charging or how much power you're using. If you're going into where it says PWR for power, that means you're on gasoline. And if you're, because right now we're plugged, we can't see what the distance is, but as soon as we unplug it, it basically would show us the available distance for both gas and strictly EV or battery power if you prefer. Most of the controls on this are pretty straightforward. If we want to move into the console, if you're going with the SE model like we have here, so you have a smaller display. However, in my view, it's large enough. I mean, it's going to serve its purpose. If you get a larger one, you get the extra inch, like if you're going with the XSE, you're going to see the same information on the display. So you're paying for slightly bigger, but it doesn't give you more data, more information. It's going to be the same thing. The buttons are nice and rubberized, whatever this is made of. So it's very good grip on these things. And for anybody who likes to play with knobs, this is the thing to do. Let's go into the control for the climate. So you've got eco, heating, and cooling. What it does is basically it's got a mode where it can try to conserve power. And the big thing with these models is if you're going to drive these in areas that get very cold, such as where we are right now up in Canada, then you should not be driving it in EV mode only when it's minus, very below, when you get into the minus 20s, minus 30s Celsius. What you want to do is you want to have it in hybrid mode, use up the gas engine to create some heat, so you get your cabin heated up. Of course, if you're in a garage, then you're starting off with heating. Okay, let's take a quick look now at the rest of the features. We've got heated seats. So again, straightforward. This is part of the whole drive system. So what you've got is there is a trail mode. It's just a button. If you push, you get normal mode. If you push it to the left, it goes into eco mode. What eco mode does is it will prioritize fuel economy and electricity economy. So if you want to have speedier, more aggressive driving mode, you go into sports mode. At that point, it goes towards performance instead of fuel and power economy. When you put this into park, it will automatically turn on the parking brake. That's automatic. I didn't do anything, and I was nicely surprised to find that it just turns on. The starting, as you may have been able to tell, is a button. So all you need to do is to have your key, which the key looks like this. And as long as it's within the car, it will power on or start, depending on if it's going off on strictly power at first or gas engine. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the back. Okay, so the seat is still in the same position I had it in earlier. I'm 5'11", so right now it's set for me. Sit in the back. And as you can tell, there's lots of space. Being the SE, there's no sunroof or moonroof or anything of the sort, so I've got a lot of space. You can bring the seats forward and back. However, because the battery is under the back seat, you cannot move the actual base back or forth. The other things, you'll notice that there is ventilation back here, so it's great if you've got passengers, long rides. Also, if you have kids, teenagers, you've got a way of plugging in two devices, two USB plugs in the back here. One of the things that you want to know is with these cars, you have batteries underneath the seat. What that means is do not drop liquids. Don't put bags of ice on top of here where they will melt. If you get water into the battery system, you will have problems. They will be very costly, and it's not going to be a warranty anything, so you'll be paying for it. So my recommendation is try to avoid any liquids on the back seats. The other thing with the battery, part of the maintenance, is there is a vent here which needs to be clean. Cargo wise, if you look at the doors in the back, there's very little room. Again, they're going to be putting one drink. There's really no room to add large bag of chips or anything of the sort. In the middle, of course, you will find the very common rest here where you can have 2 drinks. The other nice feature in the back is this is an SE trim. Keep that in mind. There are heated seats in the back as well. And that came standard. I never asked for those. So it's a nice bonus. Now let's take it out for a spin and see what it's like to drive. So we've just depleted the battery completely. So our EV is now at 0, and our fuel is showing me about 760 kilometers remaining. So this was a 200 kilometer trip back and forth. And right now we're going 70 miles per hour or 110 kilometers per hour. And the average consumption is 3.9 liters per 100 kilometers. So we were able to, in the 3 hours that we were at our destination, we were able to charge it somewhat, get 25 kilometers back, and we used those up. While you're in EV mode, it is extremely quiet. I would say that this compares to a Lexus sedan, for example. We have an RX, and it is sound-wise very similar. It's very, you feel like you're in your own bubble. The seat again is very comfortable. You feel the suspension; it's a little stiffer than, again, comparing it to a Lexus. However, it is very smooth. It is very gentle. It feels very luxurious. I like it. The steering wheel also continues to be comfortable. The controls are all at your fingertips. The only negative part, or the only thing I could ding really, is if you don't have your iPhone or an Android connected to the system, if you're trying to play a USB stick and you've got songs on there, the whole entertainment system without the Apple or Android version of the Apple Play, the one that's native to Toyota, seems very antiquated. It puts up folders. We found navigation to be a little awkward. We're trying to get into a specific album and you have to go track by track. So anyway, we'll play with that a little bit more to make sure it's not our lack of understanding. But the adaptive cruise control has been great. You set it to, for example, 110 or whatever speed you want to set it to, and if you come up to a car that's going less, it will simply back off. And you can pre-program this, by the way, to decide how far back you want to be, but it is very good. It's very smooth. I tried the lane assist as well. I'm not a huge fan of lane assist, but it does steer you back into your lane as necessary. So right now the EV mode, basically we set it, we tried normal, we tried eco, we tried all the different variants, and pretty much I think leaving it normal for day-to-day driving is probably your best option. Just set it and just go. You don't have to worry about it. And past that, climate control, again, it's above freezing right now, so the heating works well. Everything seems to be fine. The controls are quite easy to understand. The radio is easy to understand. It linked through Bluetooth to the phone quite easily. No surprises there. We're also able to plug it in through a USB cable, and it connected as well directly and was able to use the Apple Play in this case. So that's about it. So we're going right now with no battery, so we're basically in hybrid mode. And 4 liters per 100 kilometers is quite outstanding for the weight and size of this vehicle. I'm quite impressed. So I like the ride quality, and I certainly think that this is going to be a great car for longer trips. So this has been Bob Pellerin with the brand new RAV4 Prime for 2021. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave us comments below. We will read them, and we'll see you in the next video.